Hello, I'm Mr. Gigabytes, and this is the Gigsplain podcast. With me, as usual, is my sidekick Serenity.
Hello.
We have been, what a difference a few months have made. This is probably going to be the most political podcast we've ever done.
Oop.
And I'm gonna try and stay out of the weeds, but we'll see what happens. But before we get going on that, all that stuff, we are now an affiliate of. They are not a sponsor of this channel. I sought them out where they are an affiliate, and we'll talk about them a little later in the podcast. So stay tuned for that. But what I want to talk about right now is Section 31.
Yay.
The Section 31, there's a lot of hate out there for it, and I really don't understand it. We do Star Trek night every Saturday usually.
Yeah.
And in this case, we all got together, including my wife. We sat down and watched it. My wife is not a Star Trek fan. And the girls have just watched, haven't watched all Star Trek. They're not the Uber fans yet. But
We're working there.
we're getting there. Yeah, we're working our way through the series. We're on the original series now, so... But Section 31 was a good movie, and the thing that was most criticized about it was Fuzz's accent. You know,
Yeah.
it is a stereotypical Irish accent, you know. Oh, they're after me Lucky Charms, they are. You know, that's very, very I don't know. It's a very offensive accent. And I get that. I get that the accent is offensive, but the accent is not attached to an Irishman. And Sean Ferrick on Trek Culture, I'm calling you out right now. I know he's Irish. So are we.
We are?
We are Irish. We're part Irish, but we're Americans. So
American.
Americans. But I'm calling him out because he was really offended by that. And there are other people that are equally offended. But here's the thing: Fuzz is not Irish.
No.
Maybe it came through on the translator that way. I get that the way he pardoned it was maybe the actor was told to do the accent that way, but it really doesn't matter. It's the fact that the accent is tied to an alien, not an Irishman. It doesn't make sense. Where's the offense coming from? You're supposed to hate this character.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the offensive part of it. I don't know. You're supposed to kind of hate this character because spoiler alert, he's the bad guy. So I don't know where the hate for the accent comes from when it's not an Irish. It's audibly an Irish accent. It is not an Irish person doing it. It's an alien.
Yeah.
So, what did you think?
It was a good movie.
What was your favorite character?
I already forgot his name.
Virgil?
Yeah, Virgil and Giorgio.
Yeah, the Virgil character is a half black, half white Sharon, native of Sharon, which That's been discussed too, because in the original series you were meant to think that all the people from Sharon were wiped out because they were, they all hated each other because some are black on the right side and some are black on the left side, and they just hate each other, and it's really and the two guys that went down to the surface of Sharon in the rubble and everything else. That was, we were meant to think that they just annihilated each other, but that was always an open question. Did they annihilate each other, or did they realize their futility? Either way, they were both men, so I don't know. They're aliens, so who knows?
Yeah.
And they were also not part of the Prime Directive, so because they knew about space travel and traveled around and whatnot. So maybe some survived. Maybe there were others on other planets that were able to put their differences aside, or who knows? I don't know. The episode I'm referring to is Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. And if you haven't seen it, or if you're not a Trek person, you're probably tuning this out right now. So
Yeah. I don't blame you, though.
You don't blame?
Yeah, sometimes I've tuned some stuff out from Star Trek, but not all of it. Sometimes.
Well, see, here's the thing. When I was growing up, I probably saw my first episode of Star Trek when I was 6 years old.
Dang.
And that was on my grandma's TV, and I barely remember parts of it. I barely remembered parts of it. So the issue was that when I became a Star Trek fan through Next Generation and whatnot, and the movies and everything else, well, I had to go when I was going back to the original series and rewatching it. I had to figure out what rerun of Star Trek that I had seen. Which episode. I had to do that with Doctor Who too, and I still haven't found the episode that I remember. But, and so there is. So when I went back through it, because I would tune it out. I didn't really understand what was going on with the plot. I didn't really understand. At 6 years old, who's going to figure that out?
Yeah.
But so that's why I give April a little latitude if she falls asleep during an episode.
Yeah.
Because she's 9,
Yeah.
She really won't. Because I didn't become a fan until about junior high school.
Oop.
So, about 7th grade. And then, that was mainly because of my friends, not because my parents were watching it.
Man, you old.
No, I know.
Yeah, you are.
But here's the thing, so my wife started watching with us, and I said, because she's been avoiding it, because she says I never got into the series. That was her excuse. Well, okay, that's fine. You never got into the series, but never got into Star Trek. That's fine. But now we're doing this as a family, and it's like, you're going to do this. We're already doing this as most of the family. You're going to sit through it now as well. And maybe you won't get it. Maybe she'll get into it. Maybe she won't. But there is 60 years of this stuff, of movies and TV shows and all of this stuff. And as I've commented on Facebook, in one or two places, it's the closest thing I have to religion. It's on. It's on every week on MeTV.
Well, your religion is atheist, okay?
Atheism is not a religion. More like Pastafarianism. or solitarianism.
What's that?
Sun worshiper.
Oh.
I'll show you my God if you show me yours.
I don't have one.
I really need to codify that. Build a website or something and make it legit, but because that's just perfect. Because most religions, were born out of sun worshiping.
Yay!
Well, the Abrahamic ones for sure, but the Egyptians were sun worshippers.
Nice.
So it's the only God you can count on.
Okay, there, buddy.
Anyway, we're not getting into religion. We're going to get in a little bit into politics today. Speaking of which, how in the hell did we get here?
I have no idea. At all.
70 million votes for Donald Trump, roughly. 70 million. And they were the interesting thing was that the polls were always saying, "Oh, it's going to be close. It's going to be close." How? How is it going to be close? No, I don't think any person that was liberal could have seen this coming.
Yeah.
But the polls saw it coming. Oh, it's tight. It's close. It's close. It's close. And it's like, how? Well, that's all we heard. How is it close? Well, this is the result. I think he won by, at least he won the popular vote this time, but why? How? And everybody's got their theories. There's a lot of people just blame the Democrats and move on. And I don't think it's quite that simple. I think that's the scapegoat solution.
Yeah.
I think there were missteps, and I would agree with some points, but I don't think that's the real problem. After the election, I started unfriending people that were gloating on Facebook about it. What a time for an email. Anyway, I started unfriending people who were gloating on Facebook. And of course, Bill Maher's like, "Well, no, you shouldn't do that." It's like, I forgave twice. Twice I forgave. And it's like, you know what? I get it. He duped you the first time. You went for the celebrity. That was the neat and cool thing to do. And then even despite all of the warnings and all of everything, he fooled you. Okay. We suffered through 4 years of his presidency the first time. I lost a business because of it. On the conspiracy board of why I lost my business, why I lost one of my business, the yarn is a straight line from one policy to the closure of my business. It's not. It really isn't hard to figure out. So, and I may get into that some other time, but I lost something like $25,000 in investments, and it's a lot of money. It hurts. I'm still paying it off to this day. But that's neither here nor there. So, okay, we lived through 4 years. We lived through. It's like. And then we went through the Biden years, and whether or not you dismiss all of the legal action against Mr. Trump as politically motivated or not is neither here nor there. The fact is, he was found guilty on 34 counts, felony counts of falsifying records. And he was accused of rape.
Yeah, I heard
and
about
was
that one.
convicted in a civil case. The thing is he was convicted in a civil case. he was going to be brought up on charges for January 6th. Okay, you know, if I was a Trump supporter, I get that maybe this sounds a little politically motivated, but let's get real here. There was evidence for these prosecutions, and so my reasoning for unfriending people was, you knew who he was, you know what he's done. You went through 4 years of his crappy-ass presidency, and yet you voted for him anyway a third time. That was too much. Too much for me. Especially for some people who were gloating about it. Now, I still have Trump supporters on my feed, and one guy escaped the axe because he is my friend. He has been my friend for 25 years. I truly, truly value our friendship. It's not just a Facebook thing.
Yeah.
That we're friends. We're we recently went on a trip up to Micro Center. He's never been to Micro Center, and so I brought him with, and we had fun on that trip.
Yay!
Well, he's not overly political, but he was one of those that gloated. And he admitted he was gloating. And number one, the honesty and the self-awareness, honesty of it gave me pause. I knew he was going through some medical things that I wanted to support him on. So he sort of escaped the chopping block, but just by the skin of his teeth. I plan on having a conversation with him at some point and saying, look, you really hurt me, because this is just not, why would you do that? Maybe I'll have him on the podcast and he can explain himself. I don't know.
Okay.
That's an idea that I'm floating around. But so the argument was, you knew who he was, you know what he's done, and you voted for him anyway. How did you vote for the criminal over the prosecutor? There were warning signs everywhere. There was just tons of stuff. Well, here's a possibility, and the idea came from Bill Maher, which Bill Maher, I don't agree with everything he does. For example, what I did on the day after the election when everybody was gloating, when I was unfriending people, he was saying, no, you shouldn't unfriend those people. You should keep talking to them. I've been doing that for 8 years. I did exactly that. I forgave, I talked to them, I reasoned with them, I tried to have a conversation. They still voted the way they did. And I hate the fact that I had to do that. And then I told your grandparents, I said, if you guys voted for Trump, I do not want to know. Because if you voted for Trump this third time, I will never talk to you guys again. And that's the God's honest truth, because it's if my parents, as informed as they are, my dad's maybe not as informed on politics as, say, I am. If they don't get the fact that that of what he's done and what he's been convicted of, and the things that he promised to tear down and redo, and if they were around for the first presidency, it's like they weren't hiding under a rock. But here's the thing: 70 million Americans voted for Trump. He only won by 2.5 million votes, I think it was.
Dang.
I'd have to check my numbers, but I mean, I'm trying to be as accurate as possible, but I'm about in the realm of 2 to 2.5 million votes. Sounds like a lot, but compared to 130 million who turned out for the election, that's peanuts. It's not exactly a landslide.
Yeah.
And of course, the second he was elected president, that means all prosecution stopped. He got away with all of the stuff, all of it. The American people let him out. They gave him a get out of jail free card. Essentially, I think there may be still civil suits, but he can wave his hand and dismiss those, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because of the presidential pardon or whatever.
But it won't be happening again because it's just the last 4 years.
Well, you say that, but here's the fear that he's going to find a way around that and install himself as dictator for life.
Bruh.
See, this is the thing. Go back through history, which is why it's very important to learn history. Dictators are elected. You start with a democracy. You get a bulldog like Trump or a strong man in a position of power, and he and his cronies start reorganizing the government to fulfill his wants and desires.
Ew.
So, like Putin, I don't know. It may or may not be true. I believe that, I believe watchdog organizations believe that it's that Putin doesn't run fair elections. You vote for Putin or you don't do anything. He's gone after his rivals. Putin's gone after his rivals and mysteriously pushed them out of the window.
Okay.
Literally. He is there. There have been more fall deaths on big buildings in Russia than anywhere else in the world. They magically fall out of a window.
Oop.
So that's the joke that goes around. But so yeah, that is the worry. Come 2028, he's just going to find a way to skirt around the Constitution and say, well, I'm going to be here for, declare some sort of emergency and not have an election, and he's already threatened that, but whether he does it or not, we'll just keep an eye out and keep our fingers crossed. But this isn't about Trump. The issue is how did we get here?
Yeah.
The issue, I believe, and like I said, Bill Maher pointed this out. Bill Maher found an article about what they had looked at the keywords in and around Election Day. And what the Bill Maher claimed that this article said that people were Googling, did Joe Biden drop out? Now, in my world, it's pretty clear. Joe Biden dropped out. Kamala Harris replaced him. And it just boggles my mind that people were actually Googling that. Now, I did not find that article. I was trying to verify it before the podcast. I've spent several hours on this. I'm sure if I would have found it eventually using the right keywords, but what I did find on Google Trends, that people were Googling, who is running for president on Election Day? Now, did you know who was running for president on election day?
Yeah.
I mean, I talk about it enough, so you probably heard it from me. But did you have anything political ads or reels or TikToks or anything that came across your feed,
No.
even remotely political?
No.
Nothing. This is the problem I think is happening. There are people, a lot of people out there, so isolated that they don't actually know what's going on. So I think what happened in this cycle is that rather than be viewed as partisan, social media companies basically pop the bubble. So everybody's siloed into their own encampments, and they get clicks and views. But I think the anything remotely political was basically vanished, unless you were involved in the very involved in keeping yourself informed in the political process.
It wasn't until after the election, which was today, that I found...
Today wasn't the election.
I know, I said after.
Oh, okay.
That I found, like, a video that said, like, Trump wanted this, and it just, like, kind of circled around a classroom, which I didn't really understand. I still don't understand it.
I'd have to see it. I'd have to see the context, but I wouldn't want to speculate what that was about. Yeah. I think I have an idea, but it's not, because Trump's going after the Department of Education. He's trying to abolish it, according to some sources.
Oh.
I don't know. That's pretty heavy language. I don't know that he's trying to abolish it. I think he's definitely trying to make cuts and reductions in it.
Oh, okay. That explains it, because there was like an empty classroom with no one in it,
yeah,
except for that one person that, like, turning the camera around the classroom. I think that's what it meant. Like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they weren't exactly on message on that, but anyway. But see, but like I said, this is the problem. I think social media companies, rather than appear biased for one candidate or another and be subject to lawsuits and everything else, they just said, okay, if it's remotely political, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Screw you guys, I'm going home. And I want to blame them, and I want to curse at them, and the thing is, from a business model, it makes sense. It makes total sense to me why they would do that. But the thing is there is also, you got to weigh the responsibility of, you're now the paper of record. Facebook is the paper of record for a lot of people. And you have to weigh that responsibility out with with protecting your business.
Yeah.
But these social media companies, they're not journalism. They're not journalists. They're not newspapers. They're not news programs. People are getting their news from them. And if they're not showing you the news, or if you're not subscribed to things like NPR or Fox News or whatever, you're not getting anything in your feed. Now, the problem is your mom might be a better choice to talk to about this, because you are 14 and she's of voting age. So, if I have a political ad that I want to run, I'm going to exclude everybody who's not voting age, because what's the point?
Yeah.
It's gonna land in that seed is going to land in on hard Scrabble ground, so it's not gonna grow. And if it does grow, what's the point? You're not going to get their vote anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's what I think is happening. That's what I think is happening with this last election. It was close because everybody was focused on trying to get 5 states, and the margins were so narrow because people weren't informed. I mean, it was who's running for president was like the top search on election day. You mean you don't know who's running for president? Never mind deciding who you wanted to vote for. Who's running for president was the top search? You gotta be kidding me.
How did people not know who was running for the...
Well, that's just it. Like, I subscribe to news organizations. You know, I follow NPR, I listen to it in the car. I'm fairly news savvy, I'd like to think. Now, granted, a lot of people think NPR is either liberal or conservative, depending on whose side of the, you know, what extreme you're on. But the people who study this thing, which is what I want to get to. People who study the news organizations and their bias and everything else rank NPR high quality factual journalism and right in the center. Which means that if you're on the left, anything they cover about the right in a fair and balanced way, you're going to think NPR's right wing. And if you're on the right, anything about the left, you're gonna think that NPR's a left-wing liberal organization. They're not. They're right in the people who study this objectively. They're right in the middle and right at the top.
Dang.
In fact, it's not even. So I hear criticism about NPR all the time from both sides, from the left and the right. And here's the weird thing is that that's the problem with being in the middle. You get fired at from both sides.
Yeah.
And the real issue is that whoever the people making the criticisms are out on the fringes of left and right. And they need to be more, they need to have a broader understanding of what's actually going on. The other thing is too, like, they have studied propaganda. They've studied misinformation. And it's not even a fair contest.
Yeah.
The people on the right get more misinformation, more propaganda than anybody on the left. In fact, they even did a study about Fox News and discovered that people who watch Fox News actually get less educated. They lose intelligence watching Fox News. Now, can you imagine? There are worse entities than Fox News.
Yeah.
There's OAN. There's America First Network. There's a whole bunch of them. Can you imagine what damage they're doing to people's intelligence, who are even more extreme than Fox News? And like I said, it's not even close. It's not even an even contest. It's not like, oh well, there's just as much propaganda on the left as the right. No, not even close. In fact, there's an organization called Ad Fontes that puts out media bias maps every so often, and they rank every single. They go through and aggregate the different feeds and rate them on factuality and bias and that type of thing. They're a nonpartisan organization. I believe they're nonprofit, but don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure if they're for profit or not. I doubt that they are. Everything that I get from them is 100% free of charge.
Yay.
Their app, they have an app that you can use to download. They let you share their graphs on social media. I think they're nonprofit. So, but regardless, they rank all of these things, and they rank them on the left and the right. And there are definitely media sources on the left who are conspiratorial, who are less than factual, all of it. But far fewer than on the right. And the right dips way down into lies and conspiracy theory and all of it. There are more sources on the right that are not factual and conspiracy based. And this is not just me saying this. This is, you can go check it out for yourself. Ad Fontes, Fontes. I'll try and put a link. Try to remember to put a link down in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. This is what they do. They study factuality and media bias in journalistic organizations. So for example, the AP and Reuters, I've heard the right accuse them of being a liberal media source. NPR, liberal media source. They are ranked very highly, right in the middle.
Damn.
And I've just recently had a friend of mine on the left, criticize NPR. And it's like, well, I don't think they're good for politics because they're doing this one story that I don't like. No, I think you kind of missed something there. And here's the thing. Here, I'm kind of ashamed to admit this. I get a lot of my news from NPR, and because I know I can trust them. Other people say I can trust them. They don't get everything right, and they don't cover everything. And so, if you take it story by story, if you don't feel something is getting the coverage it should, there is an organization. Now, this one is for profit. They're a subscription service, but their system was built by a NASA engineer. You'll probably, if you're a regular frequent person on Facebook, you've probably heard this before, but they are Ground News. Now, I've known about them. I've checked them out. I spent a couple of weeks in December. I sent them a request to be an affiliate. They are not sponsoring this podcast at all.
Nope.
They are not a sponsor. I want to make that absolutely clear. I would love it if they did, but that's okay. We are an affiliate for the Gigsplain podcast is an affiliate with them. And I'm going to put the link in the description, and if you go to that link, you'll get 40% off one of their subscriptions. And it is what they do is the same thing Ad Fontes does, but they're independent of each other. They're not the same organization. They take and aggregate all of the news from thousands of different sources on the left, the right, the center, and they rank all of the individual news articles for a particular news story. They rank the factuality, they rank the bias, they rank all of it. And you can go to Ground News, you get your subscription, and you can get an app on your phone, and it will tell you all of this information for each news story. Who's covering it, how they're covering it, is what their bias is, who they're owned by, where you can follow the money, you can follow the factuality, you can follow every. These guys get it right. It doesn't matter if you use Ground News, it won't make any difference whether your source is biased or not.
Dang.
Because you can look at everybody's news for that one news story.
Nice.
So you can get how the right is covering it, how the left is covering it, how people who are aligned down the center cover it. And they aggregate all of the news around all of the news articles around this story. You can. I just noticed a feature today that I can actually eliminate media sources that have a paywall. It won't show me media sources that have a paywall. I think that's incredibly useful because I'm not about to pay for an article. If you're really a journalistic source, you need to earn your money another way.
Yeah.
Instead of me paying for your article or your content. So yeah, Ground News. Link will be in the description for this one. I'll make sure of that. Because we're an affiliate for them, and that's awesome. I was really surprised. Our reach isn't that big. They did ask about our reach. How many people do you reach? Well, with some of the videos that we do, we're reaching 18,000 plus people.
Yay!
And I've got a couple of videos that are reaching 18,000 plus.
Yay!
And so the podcast doesn't have that kind of reach, but yeah. But this is an excellent. Even if they would have rejected me, I probably would have brought this up because they are an excellent tool for this type of thing. Because my biggest concern is the fact that when I had to, on my own, figure out what news sources I could trust, which ones didn't, and which ones I couldn't trust, and the ones that I agreed with all the time turned out to be the ones that were less trustworthy.
Dang.
They either got something wrong or they got, they gave me incorrect information and whatnot. I mean, it's the difference between, do you get your news source from Christopher Titus or do you get it from Walter Cronkite? You don't know who Walter Cronkite is.
I don't know who either of those are.
You'll have to watch Christopher Titus's podcast with me someday. He yells and screams about Trump. And he tries to be as factual as possible, but he is not a journalist. There's a difference between real journalism and some dude with a podcast. And he even admits that, which is great because I never once mistook him for a source of information. Mm. But he is repeating what he sees in the news, and they try to be as factual as possible about it.
Okay,
we do the same thing. We're trying to be as factual as possible.
Okay, I know this is a bit off topic, but in my JRTC classroom, there's a picture of Trump and whoever it was next to him, and they look terrifying.
They look terrifying?
No, it's like Trump is there, and I'm sitting like my back would be...
Trump's the current president.
Yeah,
so.
I know. But my back would be turned again, away from the... No. Whatever, how you say it. Because, whenever we do class in JRTC, I have to look at the projector, and my back would be facing towards the picture, and sometimes I can just feel him staring into my soul.
I don't think he's that powerful. Because he's I don't think much of him, but the But yeah, a creepy picture like that, I could see it
I'll probably have to take a picture
being
of it.
unnerving. Yeah, maybe take a picture of it, and if we get it in on time, then maybe we can do it on the next podcast because this is going to have to be edited tonight and go out tomorrow. But
Oop.
in order to keep our schedule, but so yeah, lots of stuff happening. I'm not even going to try to cover it all. I mean, the whole Elon. Don't get me started on Elon Musk. This is insane. And the Republicans are more or less letting him do it. Now, we're not standing still. Yeah, in this presidency. Now, I'm limiting my attention to what I can affect with my schedule. And we are going up with South Dakota Public Television on Friday to the Capitol to talk to senators and representatives at the state capitol.
Yay.
And so this is basically what do they call it? We're gonna limit it to what we can affect. So we're going up to Pierre to shake hands with. I've got a couple of friends in the Senate. I used to have your well, my second cousin, your I guess third cousin, whatever, but Mr. Tyler, he was a representative, I believe. I can't remember if he was senator or representative. He ran in the 14th district with Larry Zickmund and Taylor Redfeld. And both I met Taylor. She's a wonderful person. And I'm trying to there's a 10 Commandments bill where they're trying to put the 10 Commandments in every single public school classroom in the state, trying to mandate that. Bad idea. But you know the theocrats are trying to get away with what they can get away with while Trump is president, I imagine.
Yeah.
And so it's already passed the committee and it's already passed the Senate. So I wrote a letter and I explained that why this is a bad idea. Very respectful, very, just facts, because something like this is going to be sued. This bill, it can't go through because we have an establishment clause in the First Amendment of the United States. Congress shall make no, they won't give any preference to any religion or establish any national religion or anything like that. So, I'm paraphrasing, but you can go look up the text. It's Googleable. But
Googleable.
It's Googleable. It's on Google. And this is just it's here's the thing. If any of my atheist or agnostic friends are listening to this, or Pastafarian brethren, or sun worshippers, or whatever you want to call yourselves, are listening to this, I feel like I'm on my own. I know I'm not. I know I'm representing a group of people, and I'm using my reverendship in the church to kind of drive this point home. But I wish I had a group of people to come with me and do this with me, which is why I invited you on the trip, even though you're probably not old enough.
Oop.
There was nothing on the website that said that had an age restriction. But when I went up with the chamber, I wanted to have you come along. You were probably 9 at the time or so. And they said no minors at all. Cannot bring a minor. If they're over 18, that's fine. But no minors whatsoever. Well, South Dakota Public Television is a little different. But it's the same concept. You're going up. We're gonna hang out at the Capitol for a few hours. We're gonna grab some snacky snacks on the way back, and head back. And so, number one, I wanted to fill the bus. So having you come along was great. Your mom wouldn't have been able to make it.
Yeah, she works.
But I'm going up there for that 10 Commandments bill, and try to seek out the people who have responded to me, and they've been very nice. Every representative has been very nice, whether or not they're on my side. And so I've responded to their responses and corrected a few on some. Taylor, interestingly enough, next election you need to vote for her because she agrees that we shouldn't be turning our public school classrooms into Sunday schools.
Yeah.
And I made a point that, well, we need equal, that we're going to look, are we going to, if we put the 10 Commandments up, who else are we going to have to put up? Are we going to have to put up the tenets of Islam? Or the 8, I'd really rather you wouldn't, of Pastafarianism, and the 7 tenets of Satanism?
Yeah.
Got to invoke the Satanists when something like this comes up, because the bill is very specific. It has to be the 10 Commandments. It has to be worded in a very in a particular way. And of course, the first 3 of the 10 Commandments is I am the Lord your God. You shall put no God before me, and I'm a jealous God, and it's just like, look, if it were just thou shalt not steal and thou shalt not, I really wouldn't care. But it's specifically religious and specific to the Christian faith, which there are a lot of Christians in South Dakota. I will grant that. But there are also a lot of Islamic people. There are a lot of atheists. There are a lot of Pastafarians. There are a lot of, I imagine that we could probably put a Satanist group together in Sioux Falls. Which I've been very close to trying to do. But regardless, doesn't matter. Brian Posehn, do you remember the movie Uncle Nick?
No.
You probably didn't watch it. It's a really vulgar comedy. Christmas movie. Anyway, Brian Posehn, he's a stand-up comedian, and he said on After Midnight, the topic of the Satanists came up. And he says, oh, they're not what you think. They're kind of like a biker gang that's really cool about stuff, and they just use satanic imagery and whatnot. Which is true. I mean, that's kind of a layperson's way of describing them. He's not wrong. Nice. Kind of like a really cool biker gang. But I had the opportunity to. I think there's a group of Satanists in the area, but they're more into the Halloweenish type of pageantry of Satanism rather than the activism part of Satanism. So the Satanic Temple are more activists whereas the Satanists that I knew were more into the pageantry and the darkness and the all of that surrounding what most people think of as Satanism when they picture it in their mind. So I never went to it, but I'm sure there were people I knew there. I knew of one person who was going who invited me, but yeah, I just chose not to go at the time. I was still trying to, not be so uptight in my younger days, but I was still uptight about things. So, but anyway. So, it's been like 2-3 months since our last podcast. What have you been doing?
Not a lot.
It's nice to see you vertical. You've been laying around in bed for a long time.
Bruh.
But anyway. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other more fun topics to tackle other than politics and religion. The governor of South Dakota is trying to cut South Dakota Public Television's budget by 65%. And that's just, and the thing is public broadcasting runs the emergency broadcast system, which is required by law by the FCC. And so she's trying to cut the budget for public television. Well, and are you kidding me? If anything, we should triple the budget for public television.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? They already do so much with so little money. The budget for public television is a sliver of what South Dakota takes in. And South Dakota, not a big state, not a lot of tax revenue.
Yeah.
It's measured in, it's I don't know. It's not a lot. It's a very, very, very tiny portion. So, I mean, if we're cutting the budget, if we're going to cut money from the budget, we're cutting pennies out of the budget by even completely eliminating public television's money. It's just asinine.
Yeah.
Why? I don't understand why the governor. I know why the government does it. The governor did it, proposed it in her budget because it didn't matter anymore. She's going off to deport illegal aliens. She was just confirmed, and it's just I'm glad she's out of the state. Let's put it that way. I hope Governor Roden, which was her vice governor, is a little more amenable and self-aware and all this other stuff. So, because Kristi Noem was an embarrassment to South Dakota. Let her go off and catch, illegal aliens or whatever.
Illegal aliens.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't get me started on that one either. That's another podcast.
That's another podcast.
Did you miss us? This is as political as I'm getting, guys. I've got plenty of opinions on plenty of topics. And like I said, I like to think I'm well informed, but maybe I'm not. Maybe you know something I don't. I'm open to new evidence and new information that might change the way I think. And I talk with old guys regularly. They're not all on the same. We don't always agree on the politics or how we should go about doing stuff. But see, I'd like politics to be boring again.
Yeah.
Politics shouldn't affect me personally that much.
Yeah.
It should not be life-changing. It should not cause my business to close just because there's some idiot in the White House. And I want the same thing for other people too. I don't want my dad's Social Security to be cut. Because someday I'm going to be in his shoes.
Yeah.
And a lot of there are a lot of conservatives out there that don't understand this. They think that they've got this image in their head of liberals, and I guess I'm going to have to count myself in that camp. But the thing is the liberals want what you want to keep. We want to, because we want to be in your shoes. We want to be taken care of in our old age. We want the things that are coming to us. And therefore, we want you to keep what you have. We're on your side with that stuff. We don't want you to be taxed on Social Security. That's just mind-bogglingly stupid. You know, and Trump said on the campaign trail that he was going to stop taxing Social Security. We'll see if he keeps that promise. He'd better. And I will count that among the things that Trump did right. In his last presidency, he just signed. NASA said we need this much money, and Trump just said okay, and signed it, and just went, "Yep, let's do it." And so that was another thing. That was another thing that Trump did right. But broken clocks are right twice a day.
Yeah.
So, do you know how they're right twice a day?
No.
Think of an analog clock. It's stuck at 3 o'clock.
Oh.
It's right at 3 a.m. and it's right at 3 p.m.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, like I said, broken clocks are right twice a day. I hope Trump gets rid of tax on your retirement money. I really do. I hope that's a good thing that comes out of this.
Yeah.
But I really, some of the other things that he's allowing to happen and doing in these last 2 weeks, I'm sorry. It's. May you live in interesting times is a Chinese curse. We're definitely living in it. So.
Yeah.
And I'm actually trying to stay far away from the news. I listen to Jon Stewart once a week and go, ugh. And I'll listen to Stephen Colbert's monologues and I'll go, ugh. But at least they're making the tragedies amusing, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I may not be staying on top of the news, but I don't think this is a good time for me to go on Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Wait, don't tell me.
This is Wait, Don't Tell Me, the NPR News Quiz. No, it's not. It's Gigsplain Podcast. Just as good.
No, this is Fox News.
This isn't Fox News. How dare you?
How
dare you?
I thought of a random news name, and it came randomly popped into my head. You cannot blame me because
it did not because that's the first one you thought of. See, this is part of the success of the propagandists. They're very good at promotion because that's the first one. You didn't go CBS News or ABC News.
I thought I was gonna go to CNN 10, but no.
Or even CNN, even though that's good journalism done badly. It really is.
How?
Well, if you look at the the chart I'm thinking of is the ad fontes. CNN is firmly in the middle. In general,
Okay.
firmly in the middle, and but they're very low on they're factual, but they're not, it's not quality journalism.
Dang.
So it's like good news done bad. So, yeah. Check these sources out. Subscribe to Ground News. Give a gift subscription to somebody you hate. I seriously, I thought about giving out those subscriptions as gifts to, like, your grandfather. That's something he would appreciate.
Nice.
He has not gone down the QAnon rabbit hole, but he talks to people who already have. And the number of things that they agree on, according to your grandmother, is yikes. And I have a friend, Floyd. He has a relative that has really gone down the QAnon rabbit hole, and they have chased people out of their house because they said the wrong thing.
Oop.
And so, yeah, it's kind of, these are the people I want to talk to. The fringe. I want to see how I would do. It's like, I've talked to my dad. We've had conversations. We know how to talk to each other. And, he can be challenging at times, but he's still within reality. He's not gone down some conspiracy rabbit hole. He reads. He's an intelligent man, and so we can have a conversation. That's he can surprise me, but it's not hard. But some of these other crazier people, they orbit just outside of my friend circles. It's like I know somebody who has a person that is crazy.
Oop.
Who's a conspiracy theorist. And the only one that I am in direct contact with, that I found out he's a conspiracy theorist, is your Uncle Ron.
Dang.
He believes the moon is a construct and is hollow.
Bruh. I'm sorry, but bro.
At least he's not a flat earther.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
That's just, oh man. At any rate, I suppose we should probably wrap this up.
Yeah.
We've been going for an hour and 9 minutes. That's plenty. At any rate, I've been Mr. Gigabytes for Gigsplained.
And his sidekick Serenity.
We'll see you in the next one.